So you mentioned that your mum raised you away from her brothers and sisters, because she comes from quite a large family as well.
Yes,
right?
she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And quite early on, you had the experience of being in a predominantly Palangi world, because you were raised in Remuera, you went to St. Michael's, and then on to Barradine, where you became our head girl. So what was that experience like for you?
It was challenging sometimes, I think, because a lot of my family in New Zealand or in Auckland growing up lived in South Auckland. So it was a very sort of contrasting time in my life where I was exposed, I essentially lived in one world growing up with school and saw a lot of, I guess on reflection, privilege around me. And I always felt really blessed to be part of that and to have that experience. But then, my weekends with my cousins and my extended family was very different. It was, I had the happiest childhood growing up. My sister and I didn't have a lot of material things compared to our friends who, the kids in the neighbourhood or the kids that we went to school with. And that was something, like I remember going to have a play date with a friend from school and just being amazed at her house, which was 2 stories, and going home to mum and saying, wow, mum, they're so rich, they've got a 2-story house. And mum would always say, they're not rich if they don't have God in their lives, and things like that. And, seeing, spending time with my family who had kind of similar, very simple lives was, at times challenging, because, when you're a child, you sort of, sometimes you are immune to those kind of bigger things, but at the same time, I could definitely see that there were two different experiences that I was going through. But in some ways, it also was a real driver for me in terms of realising that I had these opportunities that were available to me that, others didn't have. And so it really kind of made me want to make the most of those opportunities and not waste the sacrifice that I know my mum especially and my parents had made along the way.
Yeah.